win is our desire. Couple with a brick, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DDNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are live from Studio A. The A stands for
Atlanta Braves World Champions.
Good for you. The A stands for a winning organization with a great coach and a dominant defense. We'll talk about what I'm talking about here in just a second. But first, I want to give a shout out to MSU Denver Online, msudenver.edu/online, where you can go to scope out all they have to offer. 750 total classes, 45 plus online and hybrid programs. No better place to go to get an online education, especially if you want to work a full-time job, because MSU Denver students work twice as many hours as students attending any other college institution. It's msudenver.edu/online. And yes, congrats, man.
Thank you. By the way, did you really call the Dallas Cowboys a winning organization?
Oh, I'm not talking about the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. Just making sure. I'm like, I mean, it's 25 years since they did anything. Of course, until last night, it was 26 years since the Atlanta Braves had won it all, and now here they are.
26 years. I remember when I was 26. Feels like just yesterday.
Yeah. Wild. Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm on cloud 15 or so at this point.
Of all your teams, is that your favorite
That's
one?
the one. That's the one. Like,
That's what I thought.
Of mine. I mean, I love all the teams that I love, but the Braves are the one that I'm ride or die, even though I hate their ownership at times. The tomahawk chop drives me a little insane, but yeah, I'm too far in now. So that's just, it's cool. I'm happy. I'm so happy for them. Happy for the baseball lifers like Brian Snicker and Ron Washington, who got their first rings. And then selfishly, on a family perspective, my mom, she's in her 70s now, and she doesn't have patience for rebuilding at this point in her existence. So
neither does anyone in the Broncos organization ever.
So she's over the moon right now. So that's just really awesome.
That is awesome. Okay, a couple things here.
Yay.
Okay, so we thought it was the Brady effect, right? Because the Bucs win the Super Bowl, and then the Lightning win the Stanley Cup, and we're like, oh, it's the classic Brady effect. All of a sudden, it has now become the Mace effect.
Because you throw Manchester City in there as well. They're the Premier League champions.
Right. And
so
they might even be more problematic than the Braves.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't have an NBA team.
Okay, so that's where I was going with this.
I was a Sonics fan. They moved. I got into the Sonics when I lived in Seattle. So what I'm saying is, my NBA loyalty, it's for sale.
Oh, it's got. I mean, come on. Come on.
Yeah.
Do we even have to sell you on this?
Yeah, I mean, if there are some free tickets and swag, I'm just saying.
I think being in this building now is all the sale you need.
I will say, they do have the best player in the NBA right now.
I just wish Kroenke didn't own them.
Yeah,
I mean, I like the Rapids. I like the Rapids. I just don't know if I can have another Kroenke team in my arsenal.
Wow,
well,
Mace is gonna do us like that.
It's Josh, so it's better than Stan.
It's tough. I gotta think about that. But yes, I will admit happily, until the Sonics come back in some form, I can be bought.
All right. Well, your salary is gonna buy you.
Well, hey, do you work for the Nuggets? No.
No, but all right. We'll negotiate later. Okay. A winning organization with a great head coach and a dominant defense. That is the quote from George Paton yesterday that I can't get out of my head. It just keeps replaying over and over and over again. And it is in reference to why they traded Von Miller to the Los Angeles Rams. He said, we had some other suitors, but they weren't right for Von. I wanted to trade Von to a winning organization with a great head coach and a dominant defense. And that says a lot to me. In fact, it says everything to me about what George Paton had to say yesterday, because that tells you that he doesn't, in my opinion, and I'm obviously dissecting a little bit here, tells you that he doesn't believe those things about the Denver Broncos. Now, I think obviously they historically are a winning organization, but they aren't right now. They don't have a great head coach right now. And because they don't have a great head coach who was brought here to bring a dominant defense, they don't have a dominant defense. I can't get it out of my head, guys. It's the thing that speaks the most volumes of anything he said yesterday.
Yeah, very, very telling. And then when pressed about that, wait, George, you don't think you have that in Denver?
The only time the whole day that he was frazzled.
Yeah, and George is not a frazzled guy, like you said, and he was frazzled by it and took a second and then said, yeah, we're not there yet. We can maybe be there by the end of the season.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But that was very telling. And, of course, George Paton also said that the Broncos are not rebuilding. But with that quote, along with that, Ryan, it shows that George Paton is a little more realistic of where the Broncos are, because he wouldn't have traded Von Miller if he truly thought that they were going to be up to speed by the end of this year.
How much do you guys believe in the Football Outsiders DVOA?
Wait, really quickly, just want to wish Logan good luck on his math test.
Good luck,
good luck.
Logan, and get back to
Should
class.
be cramming, not listening to us.
How much do you believe in Football Outsiders DVOA rankings?
Mina
offensive
Kimes likes it a lot, so
All right.
whatever she says, I'm cool.
Well, the Broncos are second in scoring defense in the league, right? Yay, hooray for them. DVOA, which is weighted for situation, opponent, etc., 25th on defense.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yikes.
when you played the
Right. Little
4
sisters
wins
war.
that they've acquired,
Yep.
that'll skew the.
Yeah,
the
By the
points
way,
per
the
game.
winning percentages of the teams that Buffalo has beaten are worse than the winning percentages of the teams the Broncos have beaten collectively,
That's interesting.
because they've beaten Miami twice.
That is interesting, but I don't think
Yeah.
we even needed that DVOA, because we haven't
see
bought
it.
into the Broncos defense being dominant, and that's why we when he says the Rams have a dominant defense, and pretty much assumes that the Broncos don't. We know that.
I can't even envision in my head a drive against a decent team in which the Broncos defense looked dominant. There was obviously the shutout. They looked dominant in that game.
And Mike White right now is better than Zach Wilson,
Yeah.
so that shows you where that offense
By
was.
quite a bit, honestly.
Yeah.
But I can't think of one of those games against the Ravens, the Steelers, even the Browns. Obviously not the Browns, in which the defense looked like, wow, they're just smothering them right now.
First quarter against Baltimore.
Right,
That
because
was
they
the
had
last-
a 7-0 lead in that one, right?
That was the last moment, I think, where you thought, and in that quarter, I thought, oh well, maybe this is there was that brief moment you thought, okay, this maybe is going to translate against the better teams in the league,
And then Marquise
Anton.
Brown gets behind them, and
and
the
that's
gates,
and that's when they
floodgates
start
opened up.
For the rest of the
they start
season.
giving up those chunk plays left, right, and center,
Yep.
beaten vertically. Now, probably won't be as difficult against the Raiders next time, for example, without Henry Ruggs, but still.
And I mean, the
happening over and
details,
over, yeah.
it seems every couple hours another detail comes out, just
Disgusting.
making
Yes.
it more horrifying. And it's just a really sad situation.
It is.
Anyways, that to me is what really stood out from George Paton, and it goes into my larger feelings about the press conference. I watched it again this morning, and just was looking for the little things, because what really gets fans, and I don't blame anyone for this, they don't have the time to watch every press conference.
Right.
And it's not the media's fault either, because you're just posting what is said, right? And that's part of your job. But
You coming after the media, bro?
yeah, I'm coming at the media. What happens is
We don't rest the right
you
questions,
can't
as we've been told.
you can't tweet tone or facial expressions or whether someone's rocking back and forth left and right of the microphone while they're saying something. So you see a quote on Twitter like, Vic Fangio has my full support. I took this job because of Vic Fangio. And you're like, oh my God, panic time. You see a quote like, Teddy Bridgewater can be the face of the franchise. And you go, oh my God, panic time. You see little things like that. And a lot of the nuance gets lost, like it always does on Twitter, right? So when you watch the press conference, I bet you if you read the quotes and came away feeling terribly about them, if you watch it, you'll come away feeling completely different, because I think this was absolutely a read between the lines type of press conference.
I think it was to an extent. I think he really did go out of his way to back Vic Fangio here, and
He has no other choice.
and that's kind of true.
Okay.
Yes, but then he could have done the exact same thing to Pat Shurmur, and he did not do that. And I don't really know how people took that he showed support for Pat Shurmur.
Because the quote says
at the very end when he said, like, I trust in Pat or something.
Yeah, he's had a lot of success in this league. That's a quote that people say, and they're like, he trusts Pat Shurmur? Are you kidding me? What an idiot.
The thing is, I mean, in all cases, he said they have to do better, right? Offense has to do better. I mean,
and that's what he started off with, and it was very much attacking the offense right out of the game.
Right, but I think the thing is, you can say it hasn't done well enough, but then affirm your, at least for the moment, support of the people that are in your building. I mean, you're basically, you're saying, hey, and maybe kind of lukewarm support, like, all right, I'm not firing you today, but you got to do better. But then saying, hey, Paton was in Minnesota when Case Keenum did well under Pat Shurmur, when that offense went to the NFC Championship game. So that's, I think, what Paton said there, I think it's actually legitimate in how he feels, because he has seen Pat Shurmur guide an effective offense with a pedestrian quarterback.
Well, when he was asked about Vic, it was all good things. And then he kind of veered away from it and talked about how things haven't been good, but Vic has always been good. When talking about Pat, he did say that, I believe in Pat, but then he, right after, but we need to do better. It was a lot of ups and downs there.
You got to listen for the buts in these things, and it was, but we need to do better. And I think...
And that was with Pat.
Yep, but I think there also was a but at the end of Vic Fangio, but as a team, we need to be better, or whatever it is, but we're not happy about where we are, or something like that, which not as strong. Here's how I read it. I think that George Paton kind of knows that Pat Shurmur isn't going to be here very soon. Like, he's the first one in the line of when heads got to roll, he's going to go first. And so people are going to remember what I said here. Because it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
I agree.
Or it's possible that it could happen in the next couple of weeks. And so I think he was more cautious about not making himself look bad when in a couple of weeks he's let go, if he's let go, unless, they miraculously get it right on offense. Whereas he knows that he's probably going to keep Vic Fangio till the end of the season, so he needs to give him a more ringing endorsement.
And I think that's that's spot on, and that's exactly what I took away. Is Pat is on the shortest leash, not just between him and Vic Fangio, but also throw the quarterback position in there. Like we've said, with the quarterback position, Teddy is Vic's guy. I think George Paton is saying, Vic, you get this year unless things go crazy off the rails. I think Vic is going to finish the year as the head coach again unless it goes crazy off the rails. And you get to have your quarterback, and that's going to be Teddy. Now,
I also think Teddy is Vic's guy in terms of if he had to choose between one of the two. Teddy is George's guy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And he defended him. I'll let you finish here in a second. He defended him, too, when asked about a quarterback change. Again, reading between the lines, he said something along the lines of, like, we need to do a better job of putting him in better situations or something like that, not putting as much on Teddy.
And Vic has said Teddy's team. I mean, I think it's organizational support as far as those who are involved in the day-to-day. Teddy, in terms with Teddy, it's Vic, it's Pat Shurmur, it's George Paton. And John Elway may feel differently, but we're not hearing from him.
And I think Teddy and Vic are safe, very safe right now. Pat Shurmur clearly is not, but when talking about Teddy, I do think that people went way too far with what George Paton said. What's he going to say? That the quarterback shouldn't be in the running for the face of the franchise? No,
you can't say it.
Yeah, you have to be. If Brett Rippon is your starting quarterback, you have to throw his name. He's a captain. You have to throw his name in there. How quickly can that change? And one thing also, a big takeaway, was how George, when asked multiple times about what the heck are you going to do with these picks, man? Especially if you're not rebuilding, what are you going to do with them? He pointed to, well, we have a lot of flexibility in the draft. We can go get a player. You think he's thinking about a second and a third round pick to go trade for a running back, a left tackle, a right tackle? No.
Well, maybe.
It's for a freaking quarterback is what he's thinking right now. Yeah. So, and again, what else is he supposed to say to that? So don't buy too much into that and think that George Paton, if Teddy plays the way he's playing, is going to go sign him to a 3-year, $75 million extension. That is not what George Paton even really hinted at yesterday.
Right. And again, it's all about, the between the line stuff. I think in his mind, some of the offensive struggles aren't as much on Teddy as some other players, namely the offensive line. And he said something again about the offensive line. He was sneakily critical about the offensive line even when he was heaping praise upon Javonte Williams.
Yep.
Said, but we do
Multiple
need to
times,
go do a better job of creating lanes for him.
He said that twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just also tons of praise for Pat Surtain.
Oh, yeah.
And Javonte Williams as well.
Of course, those are ultimately his guys.
They
Right.
are.
Surtain and Javonte, I mean, above all. They're
Just
his
like
guys
Teddy.
above all.
Yep.
So subconsciously you might side with them, but hearing him talk about the offensive line like that, I thought, all right, well, if you're that dissatisfied with the O-line, you have a couple of younger guys who have started. Now, one of them, of course, Muti is in COVID protocol. So why aren't you bringing up Quinn Miners? Why aren't you giving him a look at this point?
Well, I mean, they must not think that that's a better option.
And also, as he said over 10 times yesterday, we're 4-4. We're right in the thick of things. So then, guys, my final question for you guys about all of this is, he said the Broncos aren't rebuilding. We're 4-4. We're right in the thick of this. We're right in it for this season. How much do you buy all of that?
The one that I actually buy, and the one that people are mad about, that I think they have a right to be if this is what they want, is that the Broncos aren't rebuilding.
Yep.
And I think that George Paton made that clear yesterday by not making any additional moves.
Yep, and he
other
scoffed
than-
at the question.
Yeah, exactly. Other than Kerry Vincent for a sixth, which, again, George Paton keeps getting way more value for guys than I think they deserve.
Philadelphia loves their Broncos cornerbacks for some reason. 'Cause
Yep.
this is 2 and 2 months now with Mac McCain. The other thing is,
Sixth?
I know we
How do you get a sixth for a seventh round pick that's never played?
because
That's damning.
the thing with Vincent is there wasn't going to be room for him on the 53 once they brought up Bassie and OJ Mudia.
Which, again, should kill his value.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, we can put him on waivers and anyone can claim him. Or if you give us a low draft pick, you can have him now.
And if I'm the Eagles,
that-
I'm saying, yeah, we'll give you a conditional seventh.
Right. That's exactly right. His value has gone down since the draft in my mind.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
anyway.
Good job. Great job.
But the other
Trinity
thing is-
Benson for a fifth. I mean,
when he's talking about how they believe they can contend right now, but clearly, even though he won't say the rebuild, they're retooling at minimum. He's trying to kind of walk that path that a team that we've talked about earlier this year as a potential model for this season is, and that was the 2017 Buffalo Bills, who snuck into the playoffs at 9-7, were quickly one and done, lost to Jacksonville, but they had some good feelings out of that. But then what happened in the months after they lost that game? They said, Tyrod Taylor, our placeholder quarterback, thanks, but you'll be on your way. And they drafted Josh Allen. They found their quarterback for the future. And they took a step back, but at least they took that step back in 2018 in terms of record with their long-term quarterback, with their plan in place. So I think Peyton believes this team can thread that needle that Buffalo did in 17. Sneak back into the playoffs, even as a low seed, stop the streak of losing seasons, stop the streak of non-playoff seasons, get the culture right, get people believing that, hey, we know how to win, but he's got a plan that at quarterback especially doesn't involve anybody in the building right now.
yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a possibility. Also, just quick note on Josh Allen. It kills me how cool he is. I don't know if you guys saw him on the Manning cast the other night, but he was just like so chill. He would have been such a perfect guy.
I mean, talk about face of the franchise.
Oh,
also, off the field, he's great.
unreal.
And speaking of interesting faces of the franchise, Aaron Rodgers is a liar.
Yes, he is.
Big time liar.
Yes,
Holy
he is.
cow. He
Yeah,
may not play for a while.
yeah. I mean, you can debate the
Immunization versus vaccination.
But you can debate like the vaccination and whether everyone should do it or not until the cows come home. You can't really debate whether it's okay to lie, just lie to people's faces.
Exactly. And then break the rules following that lie.
Right.
Yeah.
But side note, we'll just let that go for now.
You
Anyway,
wish it had happened another week, though?
So
the
they could beat
NFL, it's
Chiefs.
always a landslide.
I know, but I'm saying like a week they're not playing the Chiefs.
Yeah,
That's
of course,
that's
everyone
the thing.
would.
Also, all the talk about Von Miller's Halloween party. Who knew it would be Aaron Rodgers gathering with his guys? That
The Von Miller Halloween party drama. I mean,
Dumb- so
dumbest
much
thing,
today.
dumbest storyline ever.
yeah, I mean I actually believe another thing that I believe when George Paton said is that he had no idea about like the drama over paying for Von Miller's Halloween party.
You don't think so?
Nope.
Okay.
Because when he heard the question, I saw him like kind of. It didn't look like a purposeful response when he was just like, what are you talking about?
I do 100% believe that had nothing to do with the trade.
Of course not.
No.
Anyways, also I'm usually not the one who would say this, but it actually is really dumb that got out to the media.
yeah.
Like how that shouldn't just you're like complaining of. I mean, someone was venting to someone. I guarantee you it was a young player venting to a friend who either has media contacts or
this sounds good,
whatever, and was just saying like, yeah, man, like post Vaughn trade,
right?
Saying like, yeah, it was weird. He was like asking us for money for how much he's made, like $90 million in his career. He wants a piece of my paycheck.
Yep. Especially from how about like a third round draft or day 3 draft pick or something.
Yeah. Maybe it was Kerry Vincent Jr.
on his way out.
Anyways.
Maybe that's why he got traded.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, maybe Peyton was acutely aware of everything that went on and was like, I'm trading everyone that had a part of this.
Well, you pointed out in the Discord yesterday, Vincent was a Vic pick.
He sure was. That was in the Slack, but yes.
Or Slack, whatever.
Yeah, that was one of Vic's guys.
Yep, he was very high on him.
Which is interesting.
Discord, Slack, it's all the... I'm old. It's all the same to me.
Well, Discord public, Slack private.
Whoa, speaking of posting private, throwing private things out there. I mean, we're throwing Slack things out there to the universe now?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
I thought you were saying, speaking of throwing private things out there, Manscaped.
Wow.
I wasn't gonna throw private stuff out there, but I thought, I mean, it's known. I mean, you pointed out.
Yeah,
it's publicly known.
I was
pick.
just kidding.
What the Avs guys suggested, or not the Avs guys, but the Avs chat when it comes to Manscaped breeds, that I need to have like a little Nerf gun, and if it's really that inappropriate, like that one would have been yes.
Yeah.
Because Rudo really takes the cake on those.
I like that.
Well, we can't talk about Manscaped right now, but I can talk about Ball. Is that fitting? I mean,
that is,
private part,
yeah.
Whipping it out, but different type of ball. This is a joyful ball, and of course, our friends over at Ball, they make aluminum. So much. I mean, they made 101.
Other balls joyful.
To some
Depends
people,
who you ask.
yeah, exactly. To some people, over at Ball, they make over 101 billion cans last year, and they want to hire you to help in that. And their Golden plant is looking for production technicians, and you can see the full description on jobs.ball.com if you search for Golden. But let me just give you some highlights, guys. They're offering extremely competitive pay, starting at $27.39 an hour, with potential increases every 6, 12, and 18 months on the job. And this will give you exposure to so much of Ball where you can then take off into different roles once you're at Ball. So they want to make it more than just a job. You can build your career at Ball and succeed. So how do you go apply for this job? We'll go to jobs.ball.com and search for Golden, or you can text Golden to 77222 to find out more information. So check them out if you want to get a very competitive wage over at a great company. Search jobs.ball.com and search for Golden.
All right. Also want to remind you to come hang out at the DNVR bar. Got a doubleheader tonight. Always great nights to be down here at the DNVR bar when there's a doubleheader going on. But there's really never a bad time to come down here. We have happy hour from 3 to 6 every day or every weekday. We've got brunch now on the weekends. We've got member size beers, 22 ounces for the price of 16. We've got, of course, all the big TVs, all the the great company that comes down here. You'll probably always run into someone that you know from Twitter. I saw two people run into each other last night and make a friendship. It's just a great place to come hang out. So if you're looking for something to do tonight, come on down to the DNVR bar, get you a Hassel Cattle Company Wagyu beef, and good news, we'll have sparkling clean windows when you get here.
And of course, if you come on down the DNVR bar, you're going to want to rest at night. You want to rest on a snooze mattress. You've got a snooze mattress, RK. You can probably tell people about this better than I can.
Yeah, I mean, they call it snooze because you just keep crushing the snooze button because you never want to leave that bed.
Yeah.
It's that comfortable. It's that good. And I love the fact that you have the cool cover that you can put on it. And, of course, you can go warm side if you want. I just prefer to sleep with a little cooler temperature. And it really works. It can change up to 10 degrees which
incredible.
can be really helpful, especially on those hot nights.
Yeah.
It's really cool too because you can customize it to whatever you want. Like Ryan said, you can switch it to
Soft,
cool or
firm.
regular. You can switch it, flip it to have soft or firm. It's like anything you want, you can customize it to be. So
That's perfect.
Yep,
So truly the 4-in-1 mattress.
Truly the 4-in-1 mattress. In fact, the first 4-in-1 mattress. So make sure you check out our friends at Snooze. When you use the code DNVR, you can save $500 off a queen mattress with an adjustable base. Also, you can save $1,000 on a king mattress with an adjustable base. So use that code DNVR with our friends at Snooze Sleep.
Absolutely. All right, guys, let's get into the whiteboard talk. I mean, there's so much to talk about today, but we got to talk about how the Broncos can beat the Dallas Cowboys, pull off the massive upset, what may end up being a double-digit point upset. So let's dive in right now to the whiteboard.
Before we do that, let's dive into the Super Chats.
Oh, yes, let's get to some Super Chats right
pretty
now.
long ones.
All right, from Ian B. What has Teddy done to elicit this trust in organizational defense? Corny pregame speeches from a guy who hasn't won in the NFL. Wow, that's strong words. I would just say that he's proven that he's the leader of this team, and I think the team actually agrees.
Yeah, I do too. And what has he done to elicit trust? Well, in the NFL, he was the first round pick of the Minnesota Vikings. We know how much George Paton values that since George was there. So he's done it a couple of different places. And I really do think that the guys like him a ton
100%.
and buy into him being the leader. Now, are they sold on him being the franchise guy? I don't think so. No, but they're sold on him being the guy right now.
QB wins aren't a thing statistically, but at the same time,
Well, you can't point to him.
well, I'm not. But I'm saying, but to a lot of people they are. To me, they're not. To a lot of people they are. The fact that he led a team to a division title, that matters in that locker room. And like you said, being a first-round pick, it matters to George Paton, who believed in him from the start.
I also think when people hear this stuff, they think this is like some sort of deep organizational trust. It's like, no, he's the best guy we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
No, it's not a ringing endorsement of the future, but when people hear, people talk about Teddy, they think that it's some grand gesture that the Broncos are giving him by giving him organizational trust. No, he's the quarterback of the football team.
Right.
You have to give him support. You have to give him organizational trust. You have no other choice.
And if he's back next year, that means they're probably drafting somebody in round 1.
I agree with that.
Well, that leads
Good
us
luck.
to our next super chat here, which is from Luke saying, what position group do we draft in the first round next season, in your opinion? Happy Wednesday, gentlemen. Go Broncos and fire Shermer.
I don't think they will have a first-round pick when all is said and done. I think
Trading.
they'll trade it for a veteran. It'll be part of a trade for a veteran quarterback, a relatively high level.
Get the liar discount on Rodgers.
maybe, or you move on to Aaron, or you move on to Russell Wilson if things can't be worked out with him in Seattle.
Or earlier this week, I said that the Broncos trading Vaughn hurts them in the Rodgers sweepstakes. What does help them that happened this week is the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Now, I'm not advocating for them to trade for him now, but the Broncos were never going to trade for him once all of these accusations came out. If that gets settled or cleared in the next coming months, the Denver Broncos could absolutely be right back in those sweepstakes. Whether you like, I'm not saying that's right. I'm not advocating for it. But if he is legally off the hook and doesn't seem like as bad of a guy as he is now, then the Broncos will be in that.
And you also have to think of it as in other teams being interested in Watson could potentially pull interest away from teams who are interested in Rodgers or Wilson or a first-round quarterback, which is all helpful to you.
Exactly.
Okay, we have just two 702 pilots that if I get my dream job at United, I'll be in Denver for training, so I need to visit the bar.
Hell yes.
Love
We'd
it,
love to
702
host you
pilot.
here.
And then Summon Fox 88 said, good luck to Logan on his test. Wish me luck on my interviews today. The chat is just full of love and wishing everyone good luck.
And the sun is shining for the first time since Von Miller was traded. It's time to move on. It's time for a great day. Good luck, Summon
Good
Fox.
luck.
You got
You'll kill
this.
it.
All right. Whiteboard time.
All right, let's hop into the whiteboard, and we'll go through these quick, guys. First one, take Zeke back to 2017. Guys, the Denver Broncos have held Zeke to the worst game of his career, and there is no doubt, guys, Dak Prescott is playing in an MVP level, but the Dallas Cowboys are still built on their running game. Not just Zeke, but Tony Pollard as well. They are a 1-2 punch that the Broncos want to be. And it's not because Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams aren't that good. It's just they have way more of a commitment to the run, and their offensive line is better. And those two running backs are really, really good, guys. They're averaging over 100 yards more in their wins on the ground than they are in their single loss this year. Of course, we all remember that opening night football game against the Cowboys where Dak was throwing it all over the field against Tom Brady. That has not been the Dallas Cowboys since. The Dallas Cowboys have been a grinded out on the ground team. And the Broncos, last time they played them, 9 rushes for 8 yards, anything close to that. And the Broncos win this game.
Yeah, Justin Simmons, is that the only person on this defense that was on that defense?
Yeah.
Shelby Harris.
Shelby was there. Okay.
In 2017?
Yep.
Yeah, Shelby was there, and I think...
I wonder how
Shelby's
much
first year.
either of those guys played.
Not much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Justin was
nuts.
starting by then. Because remember, they cut TJ Ward.
Okay.
So wait, wasn't this 2016, that game?
No, it was 2017.
Yeah.
Because it was after that game, 2 weeks into the 2017 season, that you had people in some circles talking about giving Trevor Siemian a massive contract extension.
That was 2016.
No, it was
No, it was
2017.
17.
I had to look it up too.
They play the entire NFC East every 4 years. So they play them.
So that was Trev's second year.
05, 09, 13,
Yes.
17,
Yep. It was his second
21.
year when he
Yes.
took off, and then people were saying, well, he had a good first season. Now he's taking off to start
and
this
then he had
second
the
season.
And he had the 4 touchdown game. Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
and that,
wow.
that was Dallas.
I had that messed up in my head.
Yeah, I know.
2017. So that they got off to that hot start,
Yeah.
and then
it crumbled.
was that also the Giants game, same season?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
That's
Now
when
I've got
that's
the
when
path.
Everything fell off. Yep.
Got the path figured out
Yep.
here. So okay, Shelby was, or Justin was playing. Shelby was probably a little bit more of a part of it.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's get to our next whiteboard Wednesday takeaway. Make Dak inefficient.
And the reason is, this is an interesting stat here. The magic number for Dak is a 102 passer rating. When he has a 102 passer rating, the Cowboys are 35-2. When he doesn't and he starts and finishes, they're 12-26. And by the way, that team record with Dak and that type of passer rating, that is the best of any quarterback relative to a 102 passer rating for any guy who's done it more than 3 times in the NFL in the last 5+ seasons. So you've got to ideally get a takeaway. That's sort of what it comes down to. Find a way to pick off Dak Prescott, make him inaccurate, make him settle for some short throws. Don't let him get into a groove, because when he gets into a groove, and part of it is part and parcel with the running game steps up the pass. But when he can do that, if he's efficient, they're not going to lose.
You're going to have to hope on Vic Fangio changing the way that he does things, because if there's one thing that he seems to always let quarterbacks do, it's get in a groove.
Yep,
Especially
exactly.
good quarterbacks.
Exactly. And this next one talks about the Broncos quarterback getting in a groove. Broncos have to take shot after shot. Guys, the Dallas Cowboys...
So should Aaron Rodgers.
Seriously. The Broncos are the Cowboys are a really good pass game, like we talked about. The Cowboys are a really good running team, like we talked about on offense. They're actually really good against the ground game. On defense, they're not good. The only part they're not good at is the passing defense. Broncos are going to have to rely on Teddy Bridgewater in this game, and they're going to have to not be afraid to take shot after shot. Remember that Jacksonville Jaguars game where the Broncos took shots in the first half, didn't connect, but then they went back to it in the second half, and they started connecting? Broncos are going to have to do that. They're not going to hit on every deep ball, but on top of that, not just attacking a weakness of the Cowboys are averaging over 30 points per game. Until this past week, past 4 games when they've had Dak, they've scored 35 or more points in each game. That is insane. So for the Broncos to have any chance of winning this game, unfortunately, it's not going to be 8-minute drives that take up half a quarter. It's going to be having to keep up with them, because if you do an 8-minute drive, that's great, but then the Cowboys are going to turn around and score in 2 minutes, and then it's a lot harder to sustain those 8-minute drives than it is to score quickly. So I'm not saying only go shot, but you got to be ready to have your best offensive output.
And you have to be ready to chunk them up, because I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is good enough to lead the long, methodical touchdown drives in a shootout scenario. If you are expecting Teddy to convert just as many third downs as Dak is going to in this game, you're going to lose the game. What you need to do is create 25, 30, 35-yard plays that make it so you only have to get a couple more first downs or, maybe even no more first downs just to score, but, 1 or 2 more to get into a real position to score a touchdown.
Unless you're trying to shorten the game and prevent Dallas from getting into kind of a groove. And
they're not good enough to do that.
Well, the thing is, that's what they'll probably try to do. I mean, it can't, you brought up yesterday the stat about points per game last year, this year, but points per possession in the same time span.
It does matter.
The Broncos are averaging half a point more per possession than they were with Drew Lock through his first 8 games last year.
So
they're trying to
fairly
play,
negligible.
Half a point per possession isn't negligible. Like in a 10-possession game, that's 5 points a game. That's actually huge.
But they're not getting those points per game.
Because they're playing games with fewer possessions.
Right.
Because they're having longer possessions. That's what they've determined is their path to success. That they can't play these. That they can't do a sprint with these teams. They've got to be methodical.
Then you're not gonna win in this game because you have to put up points to beat. I totally see what you're saying.
You got to put up points, but you have to finish drives. You can have a game with 7 or 8 possessions, but you have to finish them. You can't. This is where you can't go 2.15 points per possession, which is where the Broncos are on non-kneel down drives with Bridgewater. And last year they were at 1.64. With Locke after his first 8 games. You can't do that. You've got to have 3 points of possession. If you let me finish, I'll get there.
The problem is they can't even get a stop. You know what I'm saying? So especially in this game, they're going to have a hard time getting stops. So you can go through your long methodical drives, but we know for a fact that those drives are going to stall out. You're just not going to be able. They're not going to be able to do it on a consistent rate, and then they're not going to be able to stop the other side on a consistent rate. So, I mean, they're kind of in a lose-lose scenario in my opinion.
And that's what I was going to say. To your point, Mace, is they need to do that, but I just don't trust them in order to be able to do that. But finishing drives is our next one. Guys, after we talked about Squid Game, I watched it. Have you guys watched it yet?
No.
Okay, so this is kind of a reference to Squid Game.
Not going to be seeing it at all.
Red light, green light, also a childhood game here.
Yes.
But Cowboys in the red zone are bad on both offense and defense, bottom 10 in both of those. So when the Broncos get in the red zone, they have to finish those drives, Mace, to maximize that points per possession that we are talking about. And then the Cowboys, on the other hand, their offense actually isn't that good in the red zone. Again, ranking in the bottom 10 in terms of getting into the end zone. So the Broncos, our defense has to step up there, and that's how you maximize the fewer possessions here, is if you take advantage of the red zone.
So you want the defense to get back to what they do when it's working under Vic Fangio.
Right.
Because you look at the Chiefs games in recent years, the Broncos were competitive last year in December against the Chiefs. Why? Because they were shutting them down in the red zone. They held the Chiefs below 300 yards even in that debacle of October of 2020. So you've got to do that. So let's say it's a game where both teams have some sustained drives, and it's 8 possessions, and the Cowboys get in the red zone, say 6 times. If you can hold them to a touchdown, a bunch of field goals, or even 2 touchdowns and a bunch of field goals, you're not in great shape, but you're giving yourself a chance if that's the case. And then the Broncos, like you said, they have to take advantage of the Cowboys being on the struggle bus in the red zone right now.
Yeah,
and that's where Jerry Jeudy can help. Although Noah Fant may not be there, so that's a setback in that regard.
Well, that'll be less tackles 1 yard short of the sticks.
Oh, man. And let's get to the last one here. Get what you paid for.
Get what you paid for. You talk about making Dak more inefficient, and the way to do that is by making plays in the secondary. Look, if you're expecting to go out there and get all over him with the pass rush and, not be forced to make plays in the secondary, you are sorely mistaken. Bryce Callahan, Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons, Pat Surtain, who's actually the one who's been doing this, and so on. These guys, Ronald Darby, you paid for the highest paid secondary in the league. I want to see guys diving and making pass breakups.
Yep.
I want to see guys jumping routes. I want to see guys forcing coverage sacks. How many coverage sacks have we seen this year with the highest paid secondary in the NFL? These guys got to earn their paychecks this week. Otherwise, they will lose. Period. End of story.
I've seen coverage incompletions, throwaways, but not coverage sacks. And the reason why you want to see coverage sacks is if you get a coverage sack on second down, then you're putting him in third and long. What we see sometimes is the coverage is there. The quarterback takes the incompletion, takes the check down, and instead of being like 3rd and 14 because you finished it with a sack, it's 3rd and 6. It's 3rd and makeable.
I mentioned Callahan. Obviously, he won't be playing. But
Nate Hairston filled in for him last Sunday.
He made a play. Yes, he did.
Which a lot of these guys, I don't know if they can say for themselves.
It says a lot, though, for Kyle Fuller that where they think of him, that they didn't put him in there at that moment. And Vic, I know, regards kind of the slot corner as its own position, but still.
I'm like a big proponent and don't just play guys because of their paycheck.
Absolutely.
But man, it just kills me that Kyle Fuller made actually over $500,000 last week just to put his jersey on.
And that's what he's going to do the rest of the season since they weren't able to trade him. No team wanted him.
That just like really kills me.
Yep, bad signing. But hey, at least they're not just compounding that.
Right. I mean, but is Nate Hairston better than Kyle Fuller?
I don't know.
He's more trained at the slot corner position at this moment. I think the key will be what they do this week. What is their plan in practice? We'll probably, when we get out there this week, we'll probably have a good idea of what they're thinking based on how they align the guys in practice. We'll know.
And Hussein Bassi, too, coming back. That could be big for that slot corner role.
He's natural for that, and he was doing that last year, too.
But, I mean, he hasn't been on a football field in how long?
That's true.
14 months?
11 months, because he got hurt in December of last year.
Well, if you want someone with experience, Kyle Fuller. There you go.
I thought he was hurt.
No, but he was playing into December last year. He was playing well. That's part of the reason why his return has taken so long is because he had the injury relatively late in the season, whereas Cortland Sutton had his in September. So he was 2 months ahead in his rehab of where Bass.
So, 11 months since he's been on. Even that is a long time. I mean, it would be surprising to me to see him just thrown right out there into the action.
He's not going to play this week. He's not going to play this week. And guys, we've had so much to talk about. I'm happy I had my dose of Strava Craft coffee before getting here to get me energized for this show. And if you want to start your mornings or your afternoons off with some Strava Craft coffee, use the code DNVR25 over at StravaCoffee.com. That'll get you 25% off your first purchase of Strava Craft coffee, which of course isn't just delicious coffee. It packs that CBD punch, which can help alleviate a lot of ailments going on in your body, including some people say it gets rid of the coffee jitters. You can start your morning off with coffee without getting those coffee jitters. And after you use that code DNVR25 for 25% off, subscribe to Strava, and you'll save 20% on every single order after that. And you can also have it set up, delivered every 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks, or however often you like. Just use that code DNVR25 over at StravaCoffee.com to get 25% off your first order. Oh, boy.
It's a bloodbath in here. There's got to be a better way to get my dagger clean and shiny safely than this. This is what I used to deal with when I cut myself shaving down below the equator before I knew about Manscaped. Thank you, Manscaped, for keeping my dagger slick and ready for wherever the night takes me. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code DNVR. Look, it's time to end the days of shaving your balls and having them end up looking like a horror movie. The folks at Manscaped have the perfect package for your package to get this done. That package includes a Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose trimmer, and yes, you get older, you're going to find you need those things. Liquid formulations, and 2 free gifts. Spooky season is here. Manscaped is getting you set, starting with that Lawnmower 4.0, a 4th-generation trimmer with a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. Also include, I mentioned the Weed Whacker. You get into your 40s, you're going to find that hair is growing where you don't want it. That's kind of the horror show, when you find out that you're breathing and you hear the air whistling because of the hair in your nose. We'll use that Weed Whacker, trim. You're not going to have to worry about that. You're not going to have to worry about that hair exactly where you don't want it. And with your best friends, don't forget to give your testes, besties, the love they desire with Manscaped's liquid formulations like the Crop Preserver ball deodorant. It's like a deodorant for your balls. You use deodorant on your armpits.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, you use deodorant on your balls, right?
You should.
There's a lot of sweat down there, just like there's a lot of sweat under your arms. So you want to make sure you don't.
Got to get all the
off.
intersections covered.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
That's what someone here, Emotional Support Viking, said.
Yes.
Always remember to shave counterclockwise when shaving beneath the equator.
Counterclockwise.
Yeah, okay. Yes, well, because of the Coriolis effect.
I don't know what that is.
Well, okay.
Below the equator. That's
There was a Simpsons episode that started off with this as a plot point.
Shaving below the belt,
No,
counterclockwise?
the Coriolis effect, because the water in toilets goes counterclockwise below the equator. So Bart Simpson starts calling all these places in the southern hemisphere, asking them which way does the water flow in their toilets. But he calls them collect, which leads to calling Australia and a $900 collect call bill to some Australian, which makes the Australia nation mad. And anyway, so check out manscaped.com. Use the code DNVR. Get 20% off. Take care of your balls. Make sure that your balls aren't the stars in a horror show.
All right, there you go. And finally, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile's awesome, not only because it's way cheaper, way more affordable than any other mobile provider, but it's so easy. You sign up for it for as low as $15 a month, and they're going to send you a SIM card to your house. You can put it in the phone you currently have. You can get a new phone, maybe for Christmas, and then you're off and running. You're ready to go with Mint Mobile, and all of these plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network, and it's really a great product. I mean, guys, for $15 a month, how much are you going to save on your current wireless bill? And you can go up from there and still be saving. And even better, right now, when you sign up for a 3-month plan with Mint Mobile for the holidays, they're going to hook you up with 3 months free on top of that. So that means you could have 6 months for as low as $45 on your mobile plan. If you're looking to save money this holiday season, which I know a lot of people are, this is a great setup for you. So check out our friends over at Mint Mobile by going to mintmobile.com/DNVR.
All right, guys, let's go to thednvr.com and get to the comments from the people on the website. And first one coming in from Mile High Till I Die. How much of a team has to be replaced to be considered a rebuild? Do you really need a full-scale rebuild? Seems to me like we need a new coaching staff and a quarterback the most. We also need a revamped linebacking group and a new offensive line. But outside of that, I think we have a ton of talent that is simply going to waste on poor coaching. I think this is a great question. What exactly does a rebuild mean? And Mile High Till I Die, when you need a whole new position group on defense and you need to help some other parts of the defense, when you need an entirely new offensive line, you need a new coaching staff, and you need a new quarterback, I would consider that a rebuild. Now it's not a nuclear rebuild where you're blowing everything up, but there's a ton of things that need a lot of help.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I honestly don't know the answer. One of the main ingredients of a rebuild, I would say, is trading away a franchise player, which, of course, the Broncos have now done. But they didn't trade away much else.
Yeah.
So the rebuild, maybe you call this one a retool, or, I believe George Paton yesterday said, we're always building, which also he should have finished. If you're always building, you never have to rebuild. So I don't know. I think that it would mean, new coaching staff, new quarterback, new franchise player. Right. You could just end right there and say that's probably a rebuild.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think we view things like from the Jacksonville Jaguars and Cleveland Browns a few years earlier. We see teardowns and think, okay, rebuild means a teardown. Rebuild doesn't necessarily mean a teardown. Rebuild, sometimes back in the day, it used to mean just kind of you bring in piece by piece by piece. It's something that takes time. The only thing is in the NFL of today that you can rebuild, but then other holes come in because guys' contracts expire. Like, for example, we talked about the positions of need. Well, Bryce Callahan could be gone, and if Michael Ujemudia and Essang Bassey aren't the answers, you might have to add another cornerback. You might Kareem Jackson, free agent. You might have to, if you don't believe in Caden Stearns, you might add another safety.
I would assume you believe in Caden Stearns.
Yeah. So you've all. It's basically one of those things where, kind of technically, you're never not rebuilding in some way somewhere on the roster.
Right, and so I think it's just in terms of how many important positions do you need to fill. Hell, the Broncos still have to fill the second most important position, which of course is owner. the most important position is quarterback,
Right.
way more important than owner.
And then there's coach, potentially, if
Right.
you move on from Vic Fangio.
Right.
The other thing is, and this is where the next few weeks are interesting, a position of need is potentially edge rusher. Will Jonathan Cooper and Malik Reed have a chance to show that it's not a position of need?
Absolutely. Next one's from Mile High Buckeye. My boys, following up on my comment from yesterday, I appreciate Mace backing me up and respecting my conflicted mindset regarding this weekend. For what it's worth, I wasn't saying you're wrong for feeling that way. I'm saying it's bad for the Broncos that you are feeling that way.
Yes, and I agree.
Anyways, yes, I'm still going to go to the Broncos game in Dallas, but this weekend is huge for sports in the C-Bus. Sunday is the last game of the cruise season, and the playoffs are on the line. Also, the Columbus Blue Jackets have back-to-back games against the Avs this week. Go Jackets, no apostrophe in Avs. Regarding the game this week, I wish sports betting was legal in Ohio because betting on the Broncos would make an upset win so much sweeter. I'm going to be rocking my DNVR Teddy Strut shirt on the plane ride down to Dallas, wearing DNVR trucker hat with pride. Like Ted Lasso says, I believe and believe.
Yeah.
Let's go Broncos. Long live DNVR. Let's freaking go.
Some
Alex.
of these states in the Midwest and the South need, I don't mean to get political here, they need to get the stick out of their you-know-whats and legalize gambling.
Yeah, they will. It's only a matter of time.
I wonder if is it legal in Texas?
Not yet.
Okay. Aquaman, who was just here, says, I wanted to let everyone know, win or lose, you will always have a good time at DNVR Tailgate. Sexy pizza is great, plenty of delicious Breck brews and Breck bourbon. Plus, you can play beer pong with Hank. Make sure to take a lift home, though.
Or you take the party bus back to the bar and then, take a lift from here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's actually probably cheaper to get a lift from here.
Oh, exactly.
definitely.
That's my favorite part about it.
Because it's not throttled around here.
Right, yeah. Even when we go up to games in Boulder, we'll walk far away from the stadium after the game, so you don't have to deal with one, how hard it is to get one, two, how expensive it is to get one right after the game.
Yep.
So we'll walk to the Dark Horse, which is 25-minute walk from the stadium, but it's worth it. Then you hang out there, have some food, and then you take your lift
Right.
home.
Exactly. Smart.
Yep. Exactly.
Smart. Next one from Kendall Hinton, Hall of Famer. Going to the Dallas game, and it's hard not to get less excited for this team. But you only get so many opportunities to see the Broncos play, so I'll put on my Von Miller jersey and go. Now,
Prepare to be chirped for that. Just saying.
Yes, it's true, especially in Dallas. Now, for that Washington game, what an embarrassment, reprehensible, atrocious, and maddening win. That's NFL football. What an affront to fans, players, coaches, and the league that we have to call it that. We put up 17 points, and that last drive, has there ever been a team so thoroughly awful in play execution and coaching, yet able to win so many games? It's unconscionable and disgraceful to fans how awful this coaching is. Honestly, I'm not sure the words exist to describe this. I think you're trying pretty hard. This is a textbook lesson in how you hollow out and destroy the passion and hearts of your fan base, instill near irreversible apathy in them, and become a sorry excuse of a franchise like you guys were talking about with Washington. And Peyton is watching and let it happen approvingly. You're losing the hearts of fans now, today. Do something, Peyton. Just trading away one of the Broncos fans' favorite players isn't enough to reverse the train of apathy your coaches are sending hurtling into the franchise. That goes without saying. Others have said this, but props to you guys for being more entertaining than whatever we're watching every Sunday. At the end of the day, I care about other things more than the Broncos, and my happiness isn't dependent on this team, but this team and this coaching is just sad. Well, first off, thank you so much for rolling with us, and that comment means a lot, makes my day.
Also, can I just jump in?
Yeah.
I will say the reaction to the Von Miller trade has been a very big counterpoint to the idea of apathy. Because when I saw the Rockies trade Nolan Arenado, that was apathy. I felt apathy in my own heart. I wasn't really that upset about it.
Right.
And seeing Broncos fans be so upset that Von is gone, to me said, okay, this isn't a fan base yet that is apathetic. And I was really worried about that on Sunday when I went to that game and I saw the lots and I saw the attendance and I thought, man, maybe people are starting not to care. But when you don't care that Von is gone. But people do care that Von is gone a lot. So they're still not there. But they definitely have the early signs of people getting there. And I understand certain people may be starting to feel apathetic, but even the passion that you feel in that comment from Kendall Hinton, Hall of Famer, tells me he's not quite there at apathy yet.
Yeah, and also I don't think Peyton's approving of this.
No, he doesn't.
This.
No.
This is what I said is going to start happening, though, just a couple of weeks ago. Is people are now Peyton's not off the hook.
Nope.
He is still controlling this. He could fire Vic. I don't think he's approving of it, but guys, that's how it's going to start seeming. He got a first free pass for 2 months. Now people are going to come after him and say, Bud, you're the boss. Do something.
The head on the platter feels good, but I do think Peyton, to some degree, is thinking a few moves ahead and thinking, what does it look like if our organization is just firing people willy-nilly just because of a bad day, a bad few weeks, etc. I think that is foremost on his mind.
I think
he's got to be in an extreme spot before he makes a mid-season fire.
I think there needs to be someone who's made an example of, for lack of a better term.
Pat Shurmur is coming up soon.
Feels like he is. Yeah. I will say this about the game this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Broncos have a really inspired performance. I don't know if
players rallying around each other.
Exactly, and it's kind of like when you get a new coach, and all of a sudden, everyone's like, "Oh, I have a new chance to make a fresh impression." That type of thing. It's a little different than that, but I think the Cortland Suttons of the world, and the Justin Simmons, and even the Pat Surtains and Javonte Williams are all looking around now, saying, "There's a big role available at the very top of this right now. Let's all fight to see who's the one who's going to get it."
It's Bill Simmons' Ewing theory. Patrick Ewing out of the equation, but you take a star out of the equation either for injury or trade, and everybody else kind of rallies themselves. Like you say, okay, it's our team now. And that was something that Peyton made clear to the leaders on the team that remain. It's your team. So I'm not going to pick the Broncos. Would it surprise me if they pulled off something dramatic? No, especially because you're going to a road environment where you're probably going to have about 20 or 25,000 Bronco fans like you did last time you went down there.
Again, I don't know if they're going to win, but I think you might be feeling during the game like, wow, this is the most inspired I've seen the team play this year.
Yeah, very, very much. And just a comment in the comment section, B, want to bet? B says, smash the like button real quick. Everyone, been a great show. Really appreciate that.
Hell yeah, we got to let Mace go down, of course, to Broncos headquarters. So see you later, Mace.
You want me to ask him today?
Can only imagine what the questions are going to be. You might want to ask Teddy if he's been vaccinated. Just get that out of the way.
He hasn't been asked that, has he?
I'm sure he has. Did you see the updated, the latest report?
Yep.
That Rodgers applied for an alternative and was shot down by the NFL?
Yep.
Wait, not an exemption, but an alternative?
Yeah, like he had an alternative treatment, and he wanted that to count as being vaccinated.
Yep. They said no.
Was it Regeneron or ivermectin?
Over my head.
No idea.
Real quick before Mace gets out of here, just from Bronco and SF, congrats, Mace. Spent a summer in Atlanta. Loved going to Braves game, and thank you for not letting those disgusting cheaters get a ring. Go Braves.
You know what? I appreciate that. That's sort of the whole thing, right? That the Astros didn't get a ring. Although I do feel a little bit sad for Dusty Baker. And he wasn't a part of the cheating.
Yep.
Right.
But when they showed his reaction after Jorge Soler hit that 3-run homer in the third, it was the reaction like, oh man, I left my picture in too long. Like it was a pained look, even with his mask on his face, like, man, I screwed that one up. Sadly, that's kind of Dusty Baker's lot in life, right?
Well,
whatever the decision is, it's the wrong one in a high leverage situation.
His sadness results in your happiness.
Yep, exactly. Don't be sad for him. Be happy.
That's the tough part about sports.
Yep.
Someone's like you said, someone's happiness is another sadness.
Someone's always
sorry,
lose.
Houston.
And unfortunately, we have to lose Mace right now. All right, from Melbourne Bronco. Hey guys, I spent the last few days listening to Sports Wars podcast. Favre versus Rodgers was superb. Now into Manning versus Brady. Check them out if you haven't. I wonder if I would guess that's made by the same people who make Business Wars.
Mm-hmm. I would think so.
Business Wars is fantastic.
Yeah, I bet
so,
this is good.
I have to check that out. Goes on and says, and I'm sorry, Vaughn is never coming back. He'll experience success, and new fans will love him. He'll stay a Ram, then retire.
Yeah, I think that.
Well, he'll retire a Bronco.
Right. He'll retire Bronco, but man, it's going to be hard for him to leave LA, especially if he's getting a big deal out from the Rams. Broncology says if Williams continues to play with the passion and fire we have seen so far this year, by next year he could become the guy on offense you look for to be the cornerstone. I think he's on the right trajectory. Thanks for the pod as always, and I completely agree with you. He's just not there yet because, Ryan, he's, one, not a starter, and two, getting less than 50% of the snaps, so he can't be a franchise cornerstone player with that. But if Melvin's gone after this year and his contract's up, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and he just needs to learn a little better vision. Just a little better. You know, it's the one knock I have on him so far is Melvin. One of his greatest traits is when there's very little there, he can see it and just sneak and get an extra yard or two.
Right.
And that's why you're seeing the discrepancy in their yards per carry.
Yep, exactly. Dan Burke says, hey, guys, first off, congratulations to Mace on his Braves winning the World Series. Second, wanted to hear what y'all thought about the Kerry Vincent Jr. trade. I saw a lot of people celebrating the fact that Peyton got a 6th, which apparently has some conditions attached to it, and I'm not really certain about, for a guy picked in the 7th, but I like the player and probably would have kept him around. I thought he was very good in the preseason and was excited about adding more speed to the defense for the future, especially with Bryce being in a contact year and Bassey coming off an injury. Now, you can find competent nickel corners every year, but a guy like Kerry Vincent, who played well in the SEC on a championship team and runs a sub 440 and fell largely in part because he opted out, fell to the 7th round. What do y'all think? I totally see where you're coming from, Dan Burke, and we talked about the opposite side of this earlier, and I think Kerry Vincent, he felt kind of like a steal in the 7th round, kind of like you're saying he dropped for a couple of reasons, but George touched on this yesterday, and here's why I'm okay with it, losing a guy that you like getting in the 7th, getting a 6th for him, is because he said, we were going to have to move on from one of our corners anyway, with Michael Ojemudia and Asang Bassey coming back soon, and then Bryce Callahan coming back soon, and to me, he's saying without saying that they were going to move on and have to cut Kerry Vincent Jr. anyways. He was going to be picked up by someone before making it to their practice squad, so we might as well get a 6th back for him.
Yeah. I think you're right. And the counter argument from people who were high on Kerry Vincent are saying, well, like, why wouldn't you keep him around? But clearly the Broncos didn't value him quite that much. The speed was really intriguing. That had me very intrigued about Kerry Vincent Jr. But like you said, and like George Paton said, it's a logjam.
Right.
And he essentially said without saying, well, we didn't think we were going to be able to keep him, which very clearly, if someone's willing to trade a 6th round pick for him. So in the end, I just once again tip my cap to George Paton for the way that he's able to get value out of these guys. Honestly, think about this. A 6th round pick is what the Broncos traded for Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
He's their starting quarterback. Now, he hasn't been great, but he's a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Or a damn good backup.
Which is still way better than a 7th round pick who hasn't played a snap yet.
Exactly. Yeah, you compare those two, and it's not even close.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really is.
And Trinity
That's a
Benson,
good way to put it.
Again, he traded a wide receiver who not only wasn't likely to be in their main rotation, he's not even in the main rotation for the Lions.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of fleecing people out here.
Omaha comes in with the last one, I believe. He says, rebuild as a Broncos management, or it is to Broncos management as Voldemort is to Wizarding World of Harry Potter, a phrase that must never be uttered. Now, this includes George Paton as well. He's either just flat out lying or even worse, truly believes the JV Broncos are in the thick of it. Yikes. On another note, could you guys shed some light on the rift that was created by Vaughn's Halloween party this year? It seems like every season this event causes drama on the team. I gotta think this Halloween party's done because it's always been Vaughn's Halloween party. Now it started to be other people's Halloween party with Vaughn because, you know, he maybe wanted some people to pay with it. I gotta imagine this is done.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they just have like a company sponsored Halloween party, like they'll rent out the stadium for them or something. I mean, I guess we can shed a little light on what has been out there, which is essentially that Vaughn was going to have the Halloween party. Then they're on a 4-game losing streak. He comes in and says, hey, I don't know if this is a good idea to have right now, which honestly, impressive leadership from Vaughn, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Then everyone's like, dude, come on. Like, that's the best party of the year. Like, I've been looking forward to it. And this is me reading between the lines a little bit now. I think Vaughn said, like, well, if this party is so important to you guys, why don't you throw in a few bucks for it?
Right.
And then I don't really understand how the response could be like, no.
Right.
But it sounds like the response was like, whoa, I don't know about that.
This is your party, bud.
Yeah. So, for me, like all of these, even the younger guys could be like, well, yeah, I can chip in, a couple thousand or whatever.
Right.
But because it was described as a 6-figure party. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, of course that could be anywhere between 100,000 and 900,000. Yeah. I would assume it's probably closer to the 100,000 So if all 52 guys or all 53 guys chip in like 2 G's, which is $20 to you and me, maybe even less.
Right.
Then, you know, everyone's in. That's where there's still stuff left up to interpretation. But as Noah Fant described it on the radio with our guy Zach Bye yesterday and Brandon Stokely, things went south from there after Vaughn said, hey, why don't you guys pitch in if you want this so bad?
Whatever that means too. Yeah. That is crazy. So
maybe what he means is they had to move the party further south of Denver
to get it cheaper. There we go. That'd been hilarious if he added that.
I just don't. Who says no to that?
It's a great question.
Like, honestly, even if you were throwing like a big party, and I had nothing to do with it, but I was going, and you're like, hey, would you mind chipping in a little bit? Like, of course I would.
$20, right?
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, you're hosting the party. It's a little bizarre, but yeah, I'll chip in.
I don't even think I would think
Cause
that way.
a big rift.
Who like?
We're not doing the pod together tomorrow.
I have to assume it was it started with one player being like, bro,
right?
You make $20 million.
Gosh, maybe even a rookie. You know, someone who's making what, 700,000 compared to Vaughn's 21 million or something, being like, dude, this isn't fair.
I can't imagine it. I really can't imagine it. Anyways, that's the silly drama that was going on. I had no other choice but to just make memes about it yesterday. It's like, this, I can't believe we're actually talking about this.
It's every year, this Halloween party, something
about Halloween parties.
What was it you put out there? Like Von Miller did not have a cocaine themed Halloween party.
Oh
Yeah.
That was the Chad Kelly one.
Yeah,
I was trying to think, was there a third one that created drama?
There was 2 different things with that party. The potential, you know, not using of drugs, but people dressing up as they were using drugs.
Right.
And then Chad Kelly also same night.
Yeah. Certainly, they were only dressing up as if they were using drugs.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, that was. I just remember TMZ reported it as a cocaine-themed Halloween party, which could that even be a thing? I guess you could be like Scarface.
Oh man, just bring a lot of coke, I guess.
So anyway, it's not going anywhere. Just like any of these Halloween stories should go, which is nowhere. So yeah. That's what's going on in Broncos country. Hopefully, if they do have a Halloween party in the future, they can figure out a way to have a Halloween party without causing any drama.
Yeah, and kids don't use cocaine.
Good advice. Finally, MSU Denver Online before we get out of here. As you guys know, they're the presenting sponsor of this show, and they have all you need if you're looking to get an online education. So check them out. Of course, you can check them out online at msudenver.edu/online. And if you're looking to work a full-time job while maintaining your education, then, of course, you want to go there because their students work twice as many hours as students attending any other Colorado institution. So that's going to wrap it up for us on today's show, which I thought was a great one. Thank you all for tuning in. And yes, hit us with a thumbs up on your way out of here. And we'll catch you tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast.